Hey, Won't Answers. How you doing? It's Mrs. Delier. I'm going to model for you guys some writing 1 and 2 step inequalities. So just to get us in that mindset for it, got a little visual here to help us remember what words can correlate with certain inequality symbols. So this symbol right here is a less than symbol. So we have words that could, doesn't mean always, follow with that as less than, fewer than, smaller than, below. Less than or equal to is the name of the symbol and a word or phrase for it. Maximum is another way to say that. At most is not more than, is not greater than. This symbol, which is the greater than or equal to symbol, you can also, words that help with that are minimum, at least, is not less than, is not smaller than. And then our greater than symbol, some of the words can be is more than, is larger than, above. And there are other words that can go in this, or even sometimes a certain way that they're phrasing some of these will mean it's the opposite. So always pay attention to the word problem, really try to understand what it's asking. And then there's equal, but we're dealing today with inequalities. So our steps for writing 1 and 2 step inequalities. Always, always, always go through and read and annotate the word problem. Then figure out what the question is asking, all right? And then in order to write our inequality, just like we did with equations, we're going to try to identify if something is happening over and over. That's going to be where our variable is. So even if something isn't happening over and over, that's where we'd put our variable. Then identify if something is happening one time. That's our constant. Okay, and if something is not happening one time, then we won't put anything there. And either way, that would make it a 1 step. So if there is not something happening over and over, or if there's not something happening one time, that means that this is a 1 step inequality. Then identify the total and decide what inequality symbol is needed. And usually that inequality word or phrase is located with the total. So I'll try to point that out in these word problems. And then last but not least, put the whole inequality together. So however you want to do it. And if you're going through and you decide finding the total is the easiest to start with, do that. These two, the 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, those can be moved around. But I would still keep total with the inequality symbol. My piece of advice. All right, let's do it. So the 45 members of the Glee Club are trying to raise $6,000 so they can compete in the state championship. They already have $1,240. What inequality can you write to find the amount each member must raise on average to meet the goal? Okay, so I went through it, I read it once. Now I'm going to annotate. 45 members, that's important. They're trying to raise $6,000 is their goal. So that they can compete. They already have this. So this is what they're starting with. And then what inequality can you write to find the amount each member? And ooh, I like that because I see members here. So that's it, dealing with them. Each member must raise on average to meet the goal. Okay, so my question here is just how much does each person need to raise? But remember, they don't even want the answer. They just want the inequality. All right, now I'm going to break it down piece by piece. So I have my over and over. I've got to figure that out, even if it means it's nothing. I need to figure out my one time, and I need to figure out my total. And sometimes our one time is what we start with. Sometimes the total is the ending amount or goal. Okay, so I've got all those pieces. So now I'm going to start with over and over. That's what I want to look for first. So I've got 45 members doing something. I have $6,000 goal. They already have 1,240. But also here, this says each member. And I know that that over and over is talking about kind of multiplication. Sometimes it's division, but typically here it's multiplication. So I think my members are my over and over. And remember, I can go through this whole thing and look at it at the end and decide if I made a mistake. But those 45 members, like if one brings $1, then they all together brought 45. They all bring $2, then that's 90. Because when I'm counting it, I'm counting over and over. All right, the one time. I kind of said this earlier, it can be what they already have and or what they start with. So that 1,240. And the other reason that's our one time is because it's not happening again. They didn't say, and Sarah brought that. But even still, that's just like two amounts. We know the total, that's it. So total. Well, that would be their goal, the $6,000. All right. And I kind of want to think of the inequality symbol that'll go with that. Here, they did not give me a keyword. I got to figure it out. So I've just got to think about it. Do they want to earn more than $6,000? Less than $6,000? Are they okay if they earn exactly $6,000? So if I'm just thinking about a goal, especially fundraising, like nobody's ever mad if you go over the goal. So I know that it could be greater than. And notice that the greater than is referring to the 45 and the 1,240, because I'm saying I want this amount to be greater than 6,000, and I'm totally okay if we hit exactly 6,000. So the last thing that I'm missing is like an addition or subtraction and my variable. And if I look at my steps say that the variable goes with my over and over. So what do I even want to use for members? I'm going to use N for members. And whatever they all bring to the table is just going to be added to the 1,240. Okay, so what this thing is saying is they already had 1,240. However money each member brings times the 45, well, we want that to be greater than or equal to 6,000. So my inequality looks good to me. I could solve this, but it only asked me to write it, so I'm going to leave it alone. On to the next one. And that was a 2-step. Maybe this one will be a 1-step. I don't know. All right, I want to try a different color, even though they're similar. So it says, a marine submersible, a submarine, descends more than 40 feet below sea level. As it descends from sea level, the change in elevation is -5 feet per second. Write an inequality for how many seconds it descends. So I want to go back and annotate. It descends, which means it's going down more than 40 feet below sea level. As it descends from sea level, the change in elevation is -5 feet per second. Write the inequality for how many seconds it descends. So the inequality needs to represent how many seconds. All right, so I've annotated. Now let's break it down. Over and over, and I'm just going to shorthand that. One time and total. Come on, there it goes. All right, so I want to start with over and over. So over and over is always that, like, it happens once, it's happening again, it's happening again, it's happening again. Usually like multiplication. So do I have anything in here? Because I only have 2 numbers, first of all. So that means this is a 1-step. So I could not have an over and over. So I have the more than 40 feet, and I have -5 feet per second. Okay, like, because 40 is the goal. And then the -5 feet, they're going down 5 feet, 1 second, down 5 feet, 2 seconds, 3. Okay, that sounds like over and over for me. So they're going down 5 feet. And if that's the case, the 40 should be the total. I don't have a 1 time. Or I could think about my 1 time as being 0, but that's not necessary. So I'm just going to cross it out. So then my total is 40, but not just 40, -40. And they want to go down more than that. Okay. And I need my variable, so I'm going to use S for seconds. Okay, so now I can break this down. So I go down 5 feet every second, that's multiplying it, and that amount should be greater than -40. The only thing is then that's kind of weird with the -40 being greater, but let me think. Does that make a lot of sense? Yeah, it's oddly written, but it still makes sense because I want the seconds to be greater than that. Like they'll be able to go further than that. They wouldn't go less than that. So in relation to the seconds, it does make sense. It's kind of odd with the negative, but I could even write this inequality if I wanted to as 5s is greater than 40. And I would just have to remember that it means that they're going down. Okay. Oh, I took a lot of time on this. Sorry, friends. All right, message me if you have any questions, okay?